Welcome back, everybody. In this video, is separates really better than AVR? We're gonna figure out the real difference. Give you guys my take on an audio video receiver and on a separate component such as an audio video processor, sound processor to be exact. Don't forget to subscribe, guys, for more. To make things simple, I'm gonna simplify the terms. I will be referring to a receiver as an AVR and a separate processor, the separate components as a pre-pro. First, let's quickly go over some of the differences, pros and cons for a pre-pro. In order to produce sound, you will need to attach the processor to an external amplifier through RCA or XLR cables. Pros of that is that when it's time to upgrade, you only have to replace the processor and you don't ever have to rewire your speaker wires. Cons is that it becomes a little more expensive because you have to buy a total of two, the amp and the processor instead of the all-in-one, and the cables to connect them too. Also, you need a little more space to house your separate components. For an AVR, your amplifier will be built together internally with the processor. Pros is you don't need an extra space to house it. The all-in-one combo will typically cost you less over pre-pro. Cons is that you can't upgrade the processor without replacing the whole unit. And when swapping it, you will have to rewire your speaker wires every time. So those are the main differences. Now I'll give you guys my take on this topic. From my day-to-day experience with both a pre-pro and AVR, the AVR that has the capabilities of adding an external amplifier to at least 7 pre-outs is gonna be on par with a pre-pro. Yes, on a pre-pro, you have the option of using a balanced XLR cable, and most AVRs pre-outs has only RCA capabilities. Long story short, as long as you have a good rated RCA cable and a solid connection, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference between the sound quality. I made a video ruling that out. I'll leave that in the description below for those interested. So it will ultimately come down to your brand preference. To reiterate, an AVR that has less than 7 pre-outs when compared to a pre-pro, hands down is gonna be better in sound separations as well as power, depending on how many watts you want on your amplifier. But when you have an AVR that has at least 7 pre-outs, your sound quality will be very similar to that of a pre-pro. Now, the real question is, what if you're not planning on utilizing your AVR's pre-outs? How will your AVR stack up against a pre-pro? Well, that truly will be very subjective to most people. But ultimately, in my opinion, if your AVR's built-in amplifier can produce at least 90 watts for all channels driven, that AVR will be indistinguishable to a pre-pro running only at 100 watts. In that scenario, there will not be a significant difference between an AVR and a pre-pro, especially when it comes to sound quality and power. In summary, in order to get the quality of a pre-pro on an AVR, the built-in amplifier needs to be at least 90 watts all channels driven with some pre-outs capabilities. If that AVR doesn't meet those standards, then a pre-pro running only at 100 watts all channels driven, when compared in that scenario, the pre-pro will be significantly better over that AVR. And overall, for the long run, I do recommend going the pre-pro separates route because processing technology such as your 4K to 8K, your 120 hertz and so and beyond, all those processing power, it will always change as technology advances. So I would recommend the separates pre-pro route, like I said, and invest in a more powerful amplifier or very powerful amplifier that is decent and have a long life and longevity. But that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this video, guys. Let me know what you're running. What do you prefer, separates or AVR? Comments below. Keep it friendly. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hooded Dragons out.